Welcome everyone to the Flexwork Podcast. My name is Ludwig Araujo. I'm your host, and today we got a very special guest, Eric Nies, formerly of The Real World on MTV, the first ever inaugural real reality show, and now spiritual life coach, life guide, someone who helps people get over and get through tough times in their lives. Is that the best way to describe it, Eric?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right.
We can go with that.
Let's go with it. Let's go with it. First of all, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for taking the time. I know today that we find you in Hawaii. Is that correct?
Yes, I live on the northeast side of the island of Kauai.
Paradise, right? Let's just call it paradise. That's really what it is.
That's an understatement.
So it's a stupid question I'm going to lead off with, because I know that you're originally a Jersey guy, born in, raised in Ocean Township, born in Long Branch. So, ending up in Hawaii, everyone wants to end up there. But, what made you decide to, put your roots there?
Oh, man. Spiritually speaking, I was called to this island to do the work that I do now in the area of this island that I live. Maybe at the end, when we're done, I can walk outside and show you where I live. But this is a very significant location on the planet. If you were to research online and look up Kalalea mountain range, you will see an article there about the Dalai Lama coming to visit here to pay his respects to this particular area and this portal. It's known as a birthing portal where souls come into the planet. So there's a good chance that you, my brother, this is where you came in to the earth plane. Your soul came into the earth plane. So all the different, elders and shamans and medicine men and women, grandmothers, grandfathers, wisdom keepers, they come here to pay their respects to this portal. On this side of the island is the birthing portal where the souls come in. And on the other side of the island, on the west side, in an area called Pauhali, is where souls leave the planet. There are a number of birthing portals that are on the planet, but this is a very significant one. So
I'm assuming that helps you just to connect to your work here, is essentially what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like to jump around a little bit and not really go linear, but in this instance, because you're a Jersey guy, and Real World, it's been a fascinating journey to watch where you went, where you started, and where you are now, right? And particularly the fact that you were born and raised here in Jersey, and now you ended up in Hawaii, and everything that's transpired in between. Can we talk a little bit about your early days, right? The Ocean Township, playing high school football. What are some of your fondest memories of this, of Ocean Township and being from this area?
Oh, man. The area that I grew up in Ocean Township was a little town called West Allenhurst. So I was about a quarter mile from the beach in Allenhurst.
Wow.
So, there's kids everywhere. There's, neighborhoods that are bordering up to each other. And it's just the melting pot, like one town over is Deal, New Jersey. It's mostly Jewish people. You go over into Neptune, it's mostly Italian and Irish.
Yep.
And then all the other surrounding towns, you had all these little, pods of different types of people, different cultures and stuff. So, you didn't see like the separation and the division and all that stuff that you see them pushing the narrative of all of that.
Yeah.
Like that didn't exist in my world that I grew up in. We were just boys and girls having fun, going to the beach.
Yep.
We played every sport under the sun. There wasn't an activity, that I didn't get involved in. I came from a family of athletes. My brother played college sports, went to the NFL for a little bit. My father was a referee in the NBA for over 30 years.
Did you have
My
aspirations at all of playing professionally, or what sport?
Well, I mean, I excelled the most in soccer.
Okay. All right.
But basketball was my love.
Mm.
We were, going to play pickup games, all over the Jersey Shore. One of my best friend when I was growing up was arguably one of the best basketball players at that time to come out of New Jersey. His name was Danny Frisch.
Okay.
And Danny actually broke all of my brother's records at Ocean Township High School for receiving and D-back.
That's crazy.
So yeah, sports was my life, and that's all I did when I was a kid. And I thought for sure that that's where I was going. I was going to go play college and, probably follow my brother. I had a really strong leg. I could punt the ball really well. And that's what my brother went to college for, played, and then went to the pros. And of course, my dad being in the NBA when I was a kid, I go to all the games and I'm hanging out with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Dr. J and,
that's
all those guys when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. So, I grew up in that environment. One of the things that, a lot of people don't know about is that my great uncle actually played with Vince Lombardi.
Oh,
and,
wow.
They
Really?
were teammates at Fordham, and their line, the offensive line, was one of the most famous offensive line that have ever played football.
That's
the 7
crazy.
blocks of granite. So that was the family that I grew up in.
Yeah.
It was all competitive, and it was just sports 24/7.
Now you transition that though, having said all that, right? Like, so you're an athlete, you want to go to college, play football maybe, or soccer. You turn to modeling. Obviously, you had the good looks, right? That's obvious. That was there. Was that more of a, hey, this is a layup? Let me just people want, take photos of me, or I want to give up on this sports thing and I really want to pursue modeling. And then how do you get from there to dancing and then doing that whole thing?
Bro, I'll tell you, it wasn't more than a layup. It was like a half court shot at the buzzer because when I turned 17, 18, I got into a lot of trouble when I was a kid.
Okay.
I experienced a lot of trauma in my childhood, and I was a ball of fire.
Mm.
And, you could not control me. There was just, the more that you tried to control me, the more wild I got. And so when college didn't work out, I actually, I was invited by the principal of my high school to drop out and get my GED because I became a potential danger to other students.
Really? That bad?
Because my athletic career ended, and I'm just hanging out with my boys who also aren't playing sports, and we're just getting into trouble.
Mm.
And so when I was 18 and I got my GED, my mom came to me. She said, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're not going to college. You're not playing sports. She's like, why don't you try acting? And I was like, at that time, 17, 18 years old. She goes, why don't you try acting and modeling? And I'm not going to say what I said then, but I was like, that's for a certain group of people, and that's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never, ever thought about that. So, but then a friend of ours, who was also an incredible athlete, and we used to play pickup games all the time, he was approached by someone to be a model.
Mm.
And he started modeling and became one of the top 5 male models in the world.
Oh, wow.
And he came to me one day and he goes, listen, He goes, I know everybody in this world now, and you get shredded and you can make a lot of money. So for me, it was, I needed to make money. What was I going to do? I didn't want to have a regular job. So, and I didn't really have the skills, the education or whatever to do, some type of, labor work in the labor force. So, I grew up cutting lawns, doing roofing, odd jobs here and there. And so he goes, look, take 6 weeks, get as shredded as you possibly can, and I'll bring you up to the modeling agency. And that's really how it happened.
Did you ever struggle with confidence at that age? Because modeling, I mean, just the idea that you put yourself on tape to submit a tape to the producers of MTV's Real World takes confidence, right? Did you lack for that? Was that easy? Was that easy for you?
Oh, no. My brother was 4 years older than me. He was a super stud. He broke all the records in my town. When he never played football in his life. And his first season that he played at Ocean Township, he broke all the records. He was just a beast and a force of nature and an incredible athlete. And that's who I grew up with. So 4 years older, super stud, really strong and powerful. So my life was competitive, battling with my brother.
Got it.
And so that really, like I said, it's like when you grow up in that world and you're around those types of people, especially with my dad being in the NBA.
Yeah.
And, playing pickup games against guys that are amazing and everybody's talking trash. You're getting conditioned.
Yeah.
You're conditioned. So, there wasn't really anything that was going to come my way that was going to knock me off of that confidence. And of course, whenever a feeling like that would come up, I would meet it as a challenge.
Got it.
Because that's how sports is.
Yeah. You weren't backing down. You weren't backing down.
Yeah, I think I was just programmed that way.
So next level is you get your face on tape. You submit it to the producers. They pick you to be on this reality show. Talk to me a little bit about your mentality going into this thing. Did you think it would be successful? I'm sure you've been asked this, and I apologize for asking you this because I know it's been asked 1,000 times, but I grew up watching your show. You know what I'm saying? And to have this opportunity to ask you this, what was going through your mind when you saw this opportunity? Was this just a paycheck? Was this a modeling gig for you, an opportunity to just get some FaceTime, or were the producers like, this thing is going to be huge?
Paycheck.
Got it.
It was paycheck, and then it was also, some guidance of, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to start off with modeling. Then you're going to parlay that into commercials. And then if you want, you can get into acting, and eventually maybe do some movies. But I wasn't really interested in the acting part of it. So I got a couple of commercials, and we had never seen reality TV. Nobody even knew what it was. It didn't even exist.
Right.
So it was a casting for me, casting call through my agent. And they said, all right, MTV's doing this thing. You're going to go there. They're going to put you on tape and, see what happens. But what's interesting, which a lot of people don't know, I've told the story a little bit, but when I went up for the audition for the Real World, at the same exact time, they were getting rid of Downtown Julie Brown on Club MTV.
Right.
She had been there for 5 years. And so they were they wanted to do Club MTV, but have a male and a female host.
Right.
So I went in to audition for that. That came through my agent as well. And I got the job. And so I'm up at MTV every day meeting girls that are going to be the co-host.
Right.
Then they canceled Club MTV completely. The Real World happened. And then right after the Real World aired,
the grind.
They brought me back in, and that's how the grind happened.
So where did the dance stuff come in? Like, because at no point in the history did
Michael Jackson, bro.
Got it. That makes sense.
I mean, at that time, we grew up with MTV.
Yeah,
like to be able to watch TV and to see performances on TV was a big deal.
Yeah.
It would have been like, Facebook, coming out for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, I can interact with this friend of mine face to face on this computer.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, on our TV screen, we had videos and we saw artists and dancers and everything. And, growing up in the town that I grew up in, I went to a lot of bar mitzvahs. And, there's always a dance at the bar mitzvahs and, dances at the beach club. And, my mom and dad, my dad was a huge Gato Barbieri and Chuck Mangione. He loved jazz and that kind of music. So we had a record player in my house. And of course, hip hop, when hip hop in the 80s and the 80s when it came out. And like, that was it. My crew, my fam, my boys, everybody, was into hip hop, and dancing was a part of it. So I always loved dancing. I never did any technical dancing. I never.
Yeah, that was my next question. Were you ever like formally trained, or this was just all at home in front of the TV, picking up dances?
Yeah, bro. I'll tell you what happened. This is the story. This is how it happened. Okay. For real. When I was 17 years old, and my friend who became the big model, because he became that model, we had access to New York City, to all the clubs and all the parties. And so when I was 17, I went to my first club in New York, to this club called Morrissey's.
Okay.
And this is funny, bro. One night I was coming out of Morrissey's, and Vin Diesel was the doorman.
That's right.
His name was Mark. His real name is Mark.
Yeah.
And I'm walking out of the door at Morrissey's at like probably 3 a.m. And 10 feet in front of me on the street, there's a guy walking out, turning around, shooting a gun at the doorway as I'm walking out. And Mark grabs me and pulls me back into the door. Like, he potentially saved my life. We talked about it, years later when I ran into him on the street.
That's crazy.
But I was in that club one night, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm hesitant. I'm nervous. I'm in a New York City club for the first time, and people are going off.
Yeah.
And I see this guy who became a good friend of mine. His name was Brinton Brewster, and he was a promoter. And bro, this dude, he could just glide across the dance floor. He was so smooth and effortless. And I walked up to him, and I said, "Can you teach me how to do that? I want to know how to do that."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Come with me." And he brings me over to the 10-foot bass bin.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Stand by this speaker. And when you feel the music in your body, just move." And that's your dance.
That's it.
And I sat, and I was standing in the speaker for an hour, bro, just feeling the pace. And that's how it really all started for me. And I became a house head for life. That was my thing. I still, till this day, house music is what I turn on when I, deep, soulful house music. Little Louis Vega, Frank Rogers, DJ Romaine, John Cutler.
Crazy.
All those guys, man. Those are like my boys, and I used to hang out with everybody and all those guys in New York. So I'm a house head at heart.
Would you say that the grind at that point in time was your dream job? Like, were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah? So you were like, I'm not looking past this. This is it.
I love dancing. I love music. I'm with 300 kids. There's a sound system. I got the mic in my hand.
Yeah.
I'm the MC. All the dancers became my friends. So we had our crew, and that wasn't a job.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah,
Like I was going to the club to
yeah.
have a good time and have fun. Yeah, that was a dream, bro. That was a dream.
How many years of the grind did you do?
3 years. And then we did 5 years of the grind workout video, but there's a whole story there of why I left the grind.
Let's hear it. We got some time.
All right. Yeah, this is the deep stuff, the dark stuff. So 3 years into the grind, or about 2 years into the grind, this manager came into my life.
Okay.
And he was a producer and worked with CNC Music Factory. And
Huge.
He introduced me to George Benson, Roberta Flack. I used to go over to Sylvia Robinson's house and have dinner from Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah.
Wow. He played, I think he played the keys on White Lines. And this was a very, very talented.
That Curtis Blow?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. White Lines.
Yeah.
So, this guy courted me for months. And at that time, my manager was Dick Scott, who was the manager of New Kids on the Block, Boys to Men, Marky Mark,
Jesus.
Mark Wahlberg back then.
Some big names at the time.
Yeah, so Dick Scott didn't know what to do with me because I wasn't an artist and I wasn't an actor. You know, I'm the first reality person to come out and have some fame with it.
Right.
So he passed me off to this dude who was one of the darkest things I've ever experienced in my life. He introduced me to the Illuminati and the New World Order. And I had a firsthand experience of what that looks like in Hollywood. And I was brainwashed, controlled, manipulated. I gave him power of attorney over everything.
So this guy at the heart, he was a con man.
And one agenda only. What's that?
He was a con man.
Oh, yeah. But very, very, very intelligent. He knew all my friends, all my family. He infiltrated me.
Yeah.
And he knew exactly how to get to me because he was introducing me to places within the entertainment industry where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And, but at the same time, he was preying upon me. And that's where I experienced one of the darkest things I've ever happened in my life. I was molested by this guy.
Oh, wow.
And it brought me to a place of taking my life. And so I was standing on the Hudson River. I lived in Weehawken. You know, the apartments on the water on the pier?
I grew up in Weehawken. I was born in Hoboken, grew up in Weehawken. So yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So I'm standing there looking at the Viacom building.
Yeah.
And it's a summer night, and I got my grandfather's knife on my wrist, ready to take my life because I felt like I had no way out. All my friends were peeling off. My family couldn't even get to me anymore because I was brainwashed in all this Illuminati New World Order that nobody knew about. This is over 30 years ago. There's no internet.
Right.
So I went down the rabbit hole of what is now commonly, you know, a lot of people talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, bloodlines, the Knights Templar, you know, all this stuff. And so for 6 months, I went down the rabbit hole researching all of this information and really, truly understanding who's running the show.
Yeah, right.
And that took me to a really, really, really dark place.
How did you pull yourself out of that? Like, what was this something that you did on your own, or did you seek help? How did you pull yourself through?
Yeah, so when I had the knife on my wrist, I started praying, and just as it was about to happen, I carved in the tree, set me free. And coming down the river, this cloud caught my attention. There was no clouds in the sky. It was one cloud that just came down the river, and it gets lit up by the lights of the city.
Yeah.
And it caught my attention in that moment. And when I kind of like glanced at it, I heard that little still voice inside my head that said, just go home. Just go home. And I could feel this energy kind of pulse through my body. And it pulled me out. And I went into like a trance almost. So I go back to my apartment where he is and my buddies, and I just start packing up all my stuff. And probably like 2 a.m, I called for a commuter car and took me to my house in New Jersey. And, my family had been observing and watching me throughout all of this. So they knew that there was something wrong. They just couldn't reach me. And I got home and nobody could touch me for like 2 weeks. I started beating up my garage. I'm crying all day long. I'm visiting the church that I went to as a kid. I went to St. Mary's School. I'm praying in front of Mother Mary. I'm praying to Jesus. I'm gone.
Yeah.
And my mom at that time suggested that I go for a Reiki session, Reiki healing.
Yeah.
And while I'm laying on the table, the woman hands me this crystal and says, Mother Mary is present in the room. And that's the school that I went to.
Oh.
And the church I went to as a kid, St. Mary's.
Yeah.
And she said, no, she's never asked me to do this before, but she's asking me to give you my crystal to hold and to keep with you for protection. And just know that she's always with you. And then I knew that I needed to get out of there. So I went to Colorado and went snowboarding by myself. And I stayed with this couple there. My friend's wife was pregnant at the time, so she couldn't snowboard. So it was just him and I. And they had no idea what was going on. I just knew I needed to get out and get into nature. And then while I was there, I get a phone call from my sister. She was like, you just received a residual check. So when this happened, I lost everything. The guy took $350,000 from me, took my Mercedes, took my car. I had deals with Universal Studios to do my own talk show. Joel Schumacher was trying to book me as Robin in the Val Kilmer Batman movie. Like I was way up here.
Yeah, yeah.
And this guy this experience clipped me.
Yeah.
But for a really good reason, because at that time in my life, I was in a self-destructive path. From the trauma in my childhood and my drug use, which nobody knew about. I was in clubs 4 nights a week, partying.
Yeah,
dancing,
what do you think's going to happen,
music,
right? Yeah. Yeah.
And having a good time, but not realizing that I was escaping from the trauma that I was carrying around in my body. So MTV made $100,000 mistake, sent me a residual check for $117,000. They added an extra zero by mistake, and they couldn't take it back.
Yeah.
So that was like my gift from the universe for what had just happened to me.
Yeah.
And that enabled me to start my own company. And I tried to rebuild with my brother, my sister, one of my best friends, and another friend. And I bought a loft. I had a loft space in Nolita, and we built a recording studio, and we were making house music, and my brother and I created this exercise device that we were going to do some infomercials and everything, and it just didn't happen. But then this is the segue into my spiritual work and my journey.
You said Lolita.
My brother.
I'm sorry, real quick. Lolita is
what?
You said Lolita. Lolita, is that where
Lolita?
Where's that?
It's just north of Chinatown and just east of Little Italy.
Gotcha. All right.
North of Little Italy.
Damn, I don't think I even knew that term. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, Nolita. And so, yeah, when I was, in my early 20s, my brother met our grandmaster. I'll show it to you.
Yeah. Okay.
So my grandmaster, my brother met him 4 years before me. And my brother talked about him for 4 years, this master, this master, this master, but I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
And so I was at rock bottom at a party in Hollywood, partied all night long. My family came into town for a reunion and it's all tweaked out. And then I reconnected with my brother who I hadn't been talking to. And so I said to him, "What are you up to?" And he said, "I'm bringing Jack and Sal to go see the master." And in that moment, I said, "I'm coming."
Mm.
And so I went there and we spent 4 days with the master. And this is an 8th generation grandmaster of Chinese medicine, 21 Den black belt, 3 different martial arts.
Mm.
His mom was the queen of the mountain people of Vietnam. He was trained since he was 2 years old, arguably had a just as fast or a faster kick than Bruce Lee.
That's great.
This is like, an extraordinary human being.
Yeah.
But on the DL, you wouldn't
know.
This is old school, master, grandmaster. And so when I met him, he started to tell, he had this ability where if he touched your skin, he could read the records of your soul front to back.
Mm.
And when I went there, I just had this feeling like I'm supposed to be here.
Mm.
And even the day that we left, as soon as I got into the car and we were leaving, I just started crying. And my brother said, "What's wrong?" And he goes, I feel like this. I said, "I feel like this is my home." And he's like, "Oh." So the Grandmaster told me some things about myself that I needed to hear, about who I am, where I'm from, why I'm here, and what my mission is on this planet at this time. And so I lived with him and his family for 8 years.
Oh, wow. Where? In Cali?
In Los Gatos, California.
Oh, wow.
And so I trained with him, preparing me for what I'm doing now. And so this was in my 20s. So I went back and forth from New York to him. And I would spend, a month, 2 months at a time with him. And then I would get my training. And then I'd go home, continue my training in New York while trying to build the business. Then I would go back. And, sometimes I would stay a little bit longer than other times. And that's a whole another story. So what I trained with him was called Iron Palm. Taekwondo and Shaolin.
Let's take a step back real quick. I heard you talk about on I don't remember what show it was or if it was just on social. I heard you once talk about the fact that being on The Real World, watching yourself, you considered that to be your first spiritual awakening.
Yes.
Can you just kind of go into that a little bit? Why did you feel that way, or why did you think that?
Well, I got to watch myself.
Right. Yeah.
That's common today. You can do a video, you can do a podcast, you can film yourself. Everybody's filming everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I sat down on my couch and I watched myself on TV for the first time, just being me, interacting with everybody, because there is no script with our show. Nothing was set up. They just said, "You're going to live here for 3 months and we're just going to follow you."
Wow. So nowadays, reality shows are written and scripted, and you're saying there was no script. They wouldn't even set up nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's how it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it should be. But that costs a lot of money, to do it that way. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching myself and I'm not really liking what I'm seeing. You know, like, oh, why did I react that way? And I look nervous there when that person said that to me. Oh, I seem insecure in this moment. You know, so I'm a Gemini, but I'm just analyzing and dissecting myself.
Yeah.
And and then you would realize later on through my studies of Buddhism and, you know, other spiritual modalities, you know, that true spirituality is looking within.
Yeah.
It's all about looking in here. If you're looking outside for some type of spiritual guidance, you are being misled. Because any wise elder or anybody that's trying to guide anybody is going to tell you, you want to do the work, real spiritual work, you got to go inside where it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the real world for me was a mirror for my personality, my behavior, my fears, my judgments, my everything. But it's funny because I didn't realize it at that moment. I'm not watching myself going, oh, this is my spiritual moment. I'm realizing that that would come to me, you know, later on when I realized that.
As you go through your 20s and you're on these reality shows and you're in Hollywood and you're doing real world road rules and all those types of things. And as you look back at that time, those 10, 12, 15 years or whatever it was, would you categorize those years as a net positive or a net negative?
Everything for me is positive, even the negative. So I'm just finding my way.
Yeah.
I'm having experiences to remind me of who I am and why I'm here. And because, you know, I have the guidance of my teacher. So while I'm doing all that stuff, I'm in training with my grandmaster, and I'm not coming on, you know, Road Rules or one of these other shows talking about my grandmaster.
Yeah.
Like that's on the DL.
Yeah.
You know? And so those earlier times in the 20s and the 30s, because I was so deep in my training, were very, very challenging. I mean, this is like, you know, Daniel's son, Karate Kid, times 100. You know, from the moment that I wake up in the morning until the moment I go to sleep, I'm training, kicking, punching, trimming bonsai trees, building shelves, moving statues, like you name it. Everything was very, you know, strict, disciplined, and detailed.
The amount of work that you had to do to strip away. So growing up, high school, athlete, dancing, clubbing, partying, girls, drugs, materialism, right? Money coming in, buying Mercedes, right?
Yeah.
To then get to the point where you bought into a lifestyle that really strips away the material, right? And you start to look inward. That's a big change. There's a big delta there between that life and the life you started to live. How did he get you to buy in? What was it the pain that you had been dealing with that made you commit to that?
Yeah, so there was moments. There were moments that happened, and one of the biggest ones was me realizing that if I didn't walk away from my friends, that was going to kill me. Because I was the leader of that. I'm like, you know, my numerology number is a 1.
Yeah.
You know, I'm driving the train because I have to escape these feelings.
Yeah.
So either you're on my train that's moving 100 miles an hour in the locomotive, and if you question that, then you gotta jump on another train.
Yeah.
And I had a number of friends that were like that. So nobody's saying, hey, maybe we should go to sleep at 5, 6 in the morning. It was like, what bar are we going to go to?
Right.
What after hours are we going to go to? And so when I met my grandmaster and he touched my skin, he said to me, your blood is like mud. And if you continue on the path you're on, within the next 10 years, you're going to develop a blood clot and you're going to die.
Mm.
And you are here, you have a great mission. And we came together because I have to prepare you for that mission. So in those years that I was with my grandmaster, I was battling between walking away from that life and living in this life of solitude and personal training to strengthen my spirit to be able to endure what would come years later. Like, this is the very beginning of preparing my mind and preparing my physical body to be able to withstand the amounts of discomfort and pain that I would have to inflict on myself to liberate my body, my soul from lifetimes of trauma, generational trauma.
Yeah.
So I'm the person in my family that has done the ancestral lineage healing work for my entire lineage.
Mm.
And that has taken me into over 700 ayahuasca ceremonies.
Ayahuasca is a very interesting thing. I don't know much about it. Can you talk to me about, at its core, what is ayahuasca? If you were to explain it to a 5-year-old, and
sure,
how does it help? How did it help you, or how does it help you?
Yeah. So ayahuasca is a vine and a plant from the jungle.
Yeah.
And there's DMT within it, and one activates the other. So when the two come together and you cook it down, it creates a concentrated amount of DMT, dimethyltryptamine. When you're born and when you die, our brains are covered in DMT. So when we come through the birth canal into the light, that light is the DMT covering the brain. And when you die, or when you have a near-death experience and you're like, oh, I'm going to the light.
To the light, yeah.
That's the DMT again. So there's different plants. Ayahuasca is one of them that have high amounts of DMT that can bring you and be a bridge into the spirit world, or into your soul, into the spirit of your soul within your own body. So ayahuasca essentially is a reflection. The spirit of ayahuasca becomes a mirror, a reflection of what's going on inside of you, and helps you to clear and clean out energies that you're holding on to within yourself that is slowing down the evolution of your soul.
Mm. Is it something you ingest, something you
yes.
drink, or you smoke, or all of the above? Oh. Show and tell.
It's a tea.
Okay.
It's a liquid. And you take the vine and you take the leaves and you boil it down for a certain amount of time until it turns into a concentration.
And you drink it and you lay down and let it take you where it's going to take you. I've heard people talk about it as what you see is what you're supposed to see. In other words, right? Like, they say this about dogs. When you don't get the dog you want, you get the dog that you need. You know, and so I've heard that explained about ayahuasca in the sense that you see what you're supposed to. It opens up your mind and soul to that. How often do you use it? What, to meditate? Like, how do you use it in practical terms?
Yeah, well, I started with ayahuasca 15 years ago in Brazil. And then I took a break for a little while. Then I came back about 9 years ago, and I started to study with the Shipibo tribe, the Shipibo from Peru. They're considered the masters of ayahuasca. They work with thousands of plants. If you see this tapestry,
yeah,
that's a Shipibo art.
Got it.
This is a vision that one of the shamans had in a ceremony, and then they do the embroidery and make the tapestry from the visions that they see in their ceremonies. So I worked closely with the Shipibo for probably 8 years. And that's where I got deep into my practice with ayahuasca, but also working with other master plants from the jungle. The Shipibo are known for working with other plants in the jungle that will help you to heal or help you to sing, play instruments. There's the Shipibo believe that there's a plant for everything.
Got it.
And you diet these plants over time. So you go on a very strict diet plan where you remove certain types of foods that don't align with those plants, and then you receive the knowledge or the healing from those plants, and they stay with you for the rest of your life. So I did 5 years of master plant diets. But when working with the ayahuasca is you ingest it, takes about 30 to 45 minutes for you to feel the effects. And then you sit up, and now you're stepping into the fire, and you want to become the objective observer. You don't want to react. You don't want to try and figure anything out, because that's what you're doing. You're invoking the spirit of this medicine to do the work for you. If you've ever done any type of spiritual therapy, and you sit down and you talk to somebody, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. So what was your life like with your father when you were 12 years old? And, oh, you had some trauma there? Okay, well, let's go into that. And how did you feel when you were in your kitchen and your father spoke to you this way? And then you allow yourself to feel all those emotions, let them go, and then forgive. Well, with ayahuasca, you just drink the medicine and you sit back and you watch the movie of your life. And then the spirit will bring those emotions and those feelings and those traumas to the surface. Your job is to feel it, allow it to move through you, and then purge those energies out of your body.
I would imagine that takes time, right? To get to the point where you're not freaking out. I could imagine the person who takes it the first time goes crazy, starts running around thinking that things are happening. So it takes some time to control yourself.
Yeah, very great question and insight, because there's nothing more important than choosing the right person to guide you.
Oh, you need,
if you've never had any experience with this and you just go wherever to anybody and you start opening up portals and start seeing anacondas and jaguars and spirits and beings and all, because it opens up a portal to the spirit world. It opens up your vision of your third eye, where not only can you see what's going on inside of you, but sometimes she'll give you, a look on what's going on out there too. And that can be very, very intense.
40-day fast. Also part of the journey.
You did your research.
a little bit. As someone who does intermittent fasting, I think the most I fasted was like straight. Every once in a while I'll do a 2-day fast just to kind of reset. I've done 7-day juice cleanse, but talk to me a little bit about a 40-day fast. How difficult was it? Was it rewarding? Was it liberating? What insights did you gain from a 40-day fast?
Man, well, that fast not only changed my life, but it set me on the path that I'm on now. And the reason why is because it's an amazing story. I was in Santa Monica, and I'm standing on the promenade outside the Apple store waiting for a friend of mine to come out. And across the way, there's an Indian Sikh walking down the other side of the promenade. And I looked at him and he looked at me, and he just walked straight for me and just started talking, sharing all this information about my life. He's like, I've been meditating for 30 years. As soon as I looked at you, I was called to come over to you to share this information with you. And he's downloading and talking and talking. I thought he was going to ask me for $20. And it never happened. And he goes, maybe we'll see each other again in the future.
Yeah.
And when I walked away from that, I'm driving in the car with my friend on my way up to where I did the fast. And I start thinking about Jesus and Buddha. And I hear 40 days, 40 days, 40 days. Because that's where the fasting comes from those two dudes.
Yeah.
And so I just looked over at my buddy and I go, I think I'm going to do a 40-day water fast. And he looks at me and he goes, I'll support you. And I started right there on the way up to the desert. And my plan was to go 40 days of water.
Yeah.
I was 185 pounds and in incredible shape at that time in my life, just 20 years ago. And I wanted to do 40. But I got to 16. I did 16 days of water, so like almost 2.5 weeks.
How much weight did you lose?
And incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
Incredibly challenging. Number one, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was inexperienced. I wish I would have had some guidance. If I had some guidance, I probably could have done the 40. But every morning I was waking up and walking around the property. And at that time in my life, it was very difficult for me to sit still.
Yeah.
And so I think the most challenging thing was, what was coming up out of my body and the things that I was feeling and the memories that I was having. And also because I was walking and I was doing saunas and just not the right way, but my body was so uncomfortable for about 3 or 4 days that the only place that I felt comfortable were in these hot springs that were close by. And so my friend would take me there. It would take me like an hour to slowly walk down the side of the mountain to get to the hot springs.
Yeah.
And I just sat in these hot springs for like 6 hours. And
wow.
Because I was comfortable there.
Yeah.
And then on the 12th day, I'm staring at this tree. And all of a sudden, like in an ayahuasca ceremony, I could see the energy of the tree and like the morphogenetic field. And this shift like happened inside of me on the 12th day. And all the pain and discomfort went away. And on day 13th, I felt great.
Yeah.
And I recorded all this. I have like 26 hours of footage from it. And when I got to day 16, it wasn't that I couldn't go anymore with the water. It was that my body, I could feel my body asking for nutrients. Like, you've gone far enough on this part. But what I didn't know was that my friend whose property I was on is the founder of a superfood company called Purium.
Okay.
And I was on his property doing this. We're really good friends. And he knew what I was doing. And then when I called him up, I told him where I was at. I said, I want to finish the 40 days. And he goes, I got an idea. So he comes up with boxes of superfoods. And we hooked my body up to a quantum biofeedback device and started doing blood work. And we created a formula. At that time, it was called the anabolic fast. And what we figured out was that if you give your body these specific nutrients so that your body is getting all the nutrients that it needs to function optimally, you're still going to have the detox from the cleanse, but you'll have these 4-hour windows in between your superfood shakes where your organs are detoxing. And so that's why I was able to go 43 days total. But what came out of that cleanse was after I got on the superfoods, there was a mentor that was in my life at that time, and he said, "You're ready for the medicine wheel." And he goes, you've done 43 days of fasting. Now it's time to open up the book. And that's where this happened. So the medicine way, how the Native American medicine wheel can enhance your life. So I open up this book, and this book guides you through adventure tasks out in nature. And you're working the medicine wheel of the Native Americans. And while I was in the wheel, it came to me clearly through spirit, this is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And then I created my program called The Beauty Way, which is a 2-week detox and cleanse that cleans out all your organs, your whole body. And then you go into the book, and then you come out and you go to the medicine. And this is what I've been doing with people for 20 years.
You help people, and let's plug the business while we're here, right? This after all is a little bit of an entrepreneur show where we talk to people about their journeys and success and what it means to them. But what you do is you help people get through tough times at the base level of it, right? Whether it's physical pain that they're going through or traumatic pain that they're going through. And talk to me about this part of your life where you go out to help people and bring them and open them up to their new journeys.
Yeah. So the word business, right? If I'm going to say, okay, what I'm in the business of this, my business is liberating souls from suffering. Because this is what I did for myself. And I clearly got the message after doing, the medicine wheel and working with the medicine that I'm an ancestral lineage healer, which means I'm not healing other people. I've healed myself. I've healed my lineage through all of my work with ayahuasca, Vipassana meditation, and also the integration of my dragon. That's why you see the dragons behind me.
Yeah.
So what I have done for myself is heal all of the trauma, not only from my ancestral lineage, but from my soul's lineage. So when my soul came to Earth and had the experiences that it's had in these many, many, many lifetimes, I've spent the last 15 years purely focused on healing that within myself. And so what I do with people is I guide them through the necessary steps with a program and protocols that I remembered and developed through my own healing. And I could go into a lot of different details and experiences and stories of, what brought me to that. So when people come to work with me, and I say this humbly, my physical body holds a frequency of a healed lineage. So I'm not really doing anything to anybody. I'm just being present with them while they find the courage to rise up to my frequency. And so when we sit in ceremony, or even just sitting down having a conversation about their life and what they've experienced and what they're carrying, when you sit with me, naturally, stuff is gonna come up inside of you that wants to be processed and evolved.
And you help us guide you guide us through that process of understanding it, dealing with it. moving forward with
Yeah,
it.
I remind you of what you already know, and what is this key. And the mantra is to develop the awareness, the courage, the patience, the discipline to objectively observe the sensations in your body equanimously. So you want to be still as possible, and just be an observer of what it is that you're feeling in your body. Because the majority of people on this planet have developed an ability to adapt and to avoid and distract themselves from the essence of their soul, from the essence of their emotional body. So our souls, every soul here on the planet, came to Earth where we are working within the elements of air, fire, water, and minerals, the four elements.
Yeah.
Our souls came here to be in these earth suits to feel.
Yeah.
To have sensation, to feel the warmth of the sun, feel the water in our bodies, eat food, have an emotionally intelligent conversation with another human, and be able to converse with whatever's happened to you in your life.
Yeah.
A lot of people are afraid to tell their story.
Of course. Yeah.
They're afraid to admit whatever it is that's been done to them or they have done to another person. So they carry around guilt and shame and resentment and anger and rage and all these things. And that's all stirred up in our bodies.
Yeah.
And, the human body is great at adapting and putting masks on and creating aspects within ourselves to protect, control, or whatever that is. And so basically what I do is I help people to surrender, to let go, so that they can evolve, so they can heal and they can transform. And I assist people in reclaiming their power that was taken away from them at some point.
That sounds like beautiful work, man. Being able to help people liberate themselves and find answers where they couldn't find answers before. It sounds like beautiful work, man. And thank you for doing that. And I commend you for kind of going through this journey that's brought you to this point and finding the positive in the darkness, finding the light in the darkness.
It's an honor, brother. Thank you.
So you mentioned that you have hours and hours of footage. How come there's no, let's side note real quick. I saw the post with you and Garrett McNamara and the family over there. The 100-Foot Wave is an amazing documentary series. I loved it. It makes me jealous, makes me want to live in Hawaii. Seeing you over there makes me want to live there. Where's your documentary and why isn't it not happening?
It's coming.
It is. Okay. It's in the works. Or you want it to be in the works?
I can't talk about it just yet, but I will come back and talk about it very soon. It's very close to happening.
Okay.
I'm in the chrysalis. I'm still in my process.
Understood.
I mentioned to you the dragons. So 5 years ago, I met my dragon in ceremony in Peru.
Okay.
And for 5 years now, I've been integrating and working, with my dragon in my process. And so you're going to see, whether it be, sometime next year going into 2007, you will see the rebirth of what started 30 years ago. And
Awesome.
it will come back in a completely new way. And the documentary and the book and the program and, you know, where I am and what I'm doing, it will become public information very soon.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to see it. I feel like, Eric, I can talk to you for another 3 hours. I wish this was a Rogan style podcast where we can stay on for 3 hours, because, you know, there's meditation that we haven't talked about. There's yoga and your yoga practice that we haven't talked about. There's life in Hawaii and what that's all about, and how it. And I haven't even talked about family and all those other things. So I would love to stay on with you for hours, man. But you've given way too much of your time. So first of all, let me say thank you again for taking me through this journey of getting to know you a little better. Again, man, I grew up watching you, so this has been an honor. But I would love to continue this conversation in the future. And signing off from the Flexwork Podcast. Thanks everyone for watching.